On Spotify, you can listen to all your favorite artists and podcasts in one place for free. You don't even need a premium account. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including ones you're listening to right now. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcasts so you never miss an episode. Premium users can download episodes to listen to offline wherever you are. Easily share what you're listening to with your friends on Instagram. If you haven't done so already, be sure to download the Spotify app. Search for ML on Spotify or podcast in your library tab. Also make sure to follow me so you never miss an episode of ML Machine Learning. I have noticed in my analytics that Spotify does host a lot of my podcasts, so I would recommend that you use it. Welcome to Machine Learning. Kind of a chilly morning this morning in Idaho, wherever you are in your part of the world. Things are changing quickly. One of the things that I looked at yesterday was innovations in construction. And there's a robot named Sam, and it can lay down 6,000 bricks in one day, where an average worker could maybe do 500. And so it's 6 times as fast to do the put down the bricks for the mortar. And they're saying that that the robot is really good at cleaning up the mortar after putting the brick down. So leaves a really precise pattern. Now, another one that has started to catch on is 3D printing of homes, where that the concrete is printed out in different continuous pattern where there's no sharp edges. And they were saying that the robot can print different types of material. So it can do, certain times it can print concrete, other times it can print metal. And they're thinking that there might be in the future homes that are completely 3D printed. And so that it can basically work 24 hours non-stop, so you bring the supplies and then the concrete printer will print out the home. And then you come in with the finishing and so forth. So the use of concrete for homes is could be quite appealing. And the other approach is kind of like the modular approach, where you take the steel container and you spray inside of it, you spray a styrofoam insulator, and then you put down a concrete floor, and then you build divisions for rooms inside. And so you already have your structure that you're working with, and then you build the container inside, and then you can add different textures and materials to the outside. More of a modular home. And that's also becoming more popular. And one thing that I think is we start to see an increase in conservationism and so forth, where gas prices continue to climb, and we still hear politicians talking about, replacing oil instead of within the next 50 years, within the next 10 years. That you'll see more regulation of companies that are like Uber, where they might have to, instead of contracting out employees, they would have to do full-time employees, which would increase the cost to the consumer, as they hire full-time employees because they're required to pay certain benefits to those employees. And so those as those costs increase, then that's transferred onto the customer. So then it costs the customer more money to drive an Uber to work or to the airport and so forth, recreation. And so the move seems to be that the wealthy will be able to drive their electric cars where the poor will not. And so more and more vehicles then will be converted to electric. At the same time, you have this increased pressure because of rising fuel prices to inhibit the gas-powered vehicles, and so there's going to be a need for more mass transit, so bus systems, and that will be paid by city debt, and as increased public transportation becomes critical, then you'll see light rail, more busing, and it's just a way to have us lose our autonomous transportation called automobiles. So that trend towards bigger city planning, higher taxes, property taxes, and more public works seems to be a pattern that is forcibly going to be imposed on us to try to move us out of driving vehicles. And I hope that in Idaho that doesn't happen. That we still see that we can drive our trucks, we can drive our cars, and that public transportation provides the means for city dwelling. But if you don't dwell in the city, that you'll still be able to drive your car to work. But as you see the transformation, it really is quite amazing in my mind that electric has become so popular. You see a lot of car companies are introducing electric versions of their vehicle. I saw one on GM. They're introducing an electric truck. Looks like it's going to be real powerful, and it's going to have a strong battery. Even when I was driving the other day and I was looking at the bus systems, it had an electric plug. It said electric outlet, and it made me wonder if some of the buses that are running around Boise are electric. It used to be natural gas, compressed natural gas, but now I'm starting to wonder if they've converted over to electric. And so these large vehicles now have batteries that can power them. And so will we start seeing the introduction of semis that are electric, especially if they're running local routes, and it's basically maybe an 8-hour cycle or so of transportation, will we start seeing more electric trucks in that sense. And then popularity of e-bikes. People moving around can move around at maybe 20, 30, 40 miles an hour on an e-bike. Will that be acceptable transportation? So as fuel costs go up, will we start seeing more people adopting to ride an e-bike to work, especially if the weather is permitting. It's fairly nice weather, only cost a few cents of electricity to ride to work and back, and then the cost of the e-bike in the several thousands of dollars, but at the same time cheaper than a car or electric car. One of the big problems I have with electric car is not that it isn't a cool design, it's that it's a power drain. It's going to pull power from the grid. The batteries have to be recycled, and they're extremely expensive. If they had an electric car that, like BYD, that could sell for, say, $22,000 or less, I think that the adoption of electric car would even be faster by the poor. But it seems like that they're not interested in a low-cost electric car. They're interested in a luxury vehicle. So they're marketing it as the luxury vehicle, stylish, popular, fast, sporty, long range, and those type of the things that are appealing to the sector with money. So it seems like that in the area of big construction, welding can be used. One of the things I was also noticing yesterday is the use of thermography. And what that is they're using thermal scans of the concrete to detect if there's defect. Now they're saying that the way they do that now is kind of acoustically, that they just drop a hammer or something on the concrete and they listen for stress points where the concrete might have a stress, and like they do that for freeways to see if there might be any defects in the concrete. Another area where they're using robots is to build the rebar and to put the rebar down. So, in the future, when you look at the speed and time to build a freeway, it's very slow. They have the materials can be delivered by semi-truck, but the actual preparation of the road, the putting down of the rebar, the pouring of the concrete, it's a very slow process and lots of manual work to operate the equipment. If you could convert most of the systems to automation, they could run 24/7. You could have robots that prepare the road, robots that put the rebar in, and robots to pour the concrete, and even robots to deliver the concrete. So, we really live in a day and age where machines are going to help us do the manual labor that is extremely slow and painful and costly. And so there's a lot of pressure on automation to deliver functionalities. So we could program robots and build robots for any process. That's not the issue. The issue is resource to build the robot and resources and capabilities to make the robot perform the process. But then as you look at the future of automation and high tech and all the training that's going into that, you've got lots of universities that are training, you've got a lot of knowledge base that's talking about automation, and so bringing that automation closer to real people is the key. And so as we look back on the automobile industry, a lot of assembly was done by human beings, and eventually those processes were replaced by machines. The same is true with road construction. Today we might have lots of human work to provide different functionality, painting the lines on the road, repairing the roads, building the roads. But eventually the machines can monitor the road, look for problem areas, rebuild the roads, and so you have a continuous improving system. And so it's not like the system sits there, your robot sits in the closet dormant most of the time, and no, it's going to be a constant monitoring system where the big equipment is working and setting up the structures. And the same with buildings. Robots can excavate the land, get it all prepared. Robots then could set down your foundation specific to the blueprint, and from that foundation, once it's prepared, they could assemble the steel structure, do the welding, connect the bolts, hoist the beams up into place, and they could do it faster than human beings. And so that'll be the trade-off, is these systems will perform very well. And then once you have one system that's performing at a higher rate of speed than manual labor, and you can reduce down the cost, then scalability will occur, where companies will be willing to spend millions of dollars to buy the equipment to become more competitive, so they can reduce down their time to build, they can build more structures and meet the demands of the consumer. So the world will continue moving forward, and we will see a lot of the innovations, but it really is not about innovation and efficiency. As I said, in some cases it's about ideology and the people who are holding lots of power and money deciding what resources will be allowed to scale and which ones won't. And that's where the efficiency argument starts to collapse, is that once you get where you have markets not driving those forces towards innovation, then you have politics that are driving it, and you're going to have some skewed results. And so it's like building a road in the middle of nowhere that goes nowhere. Why did you build the road? You don't ask the question, you just build the superstructure, and for whatever reason it sits out there in mega projects that provide no value. So these are things that must be answered and considered for innovation to move forward, and we hope that those innovations will be market driven, so that the market is creating the demand. It's not artificially being created. All right, we're at work. Signing off. Till tomorrow.